work on your subconscious.
Hey, it's Walter here, and you're at the Think Profit podcast, where we're going to help you develop a rock-solid trading confidence and avoid the potentially endless cycle of system switching. Right, Hugh?
That's right. We're going to help you develop a wealth mindset, develop a trading strategy that fits your core personality, and help you overcome the obstacles that stop over 90% of traders.
All right, Hugh, sounds good. You ready to go?
Yeah, let's do this.
Hey, Hugh. So I heard from a trader yesterday, and he's doing really well. He's made multiple seven figures. Yeah, multiple seven figures. But he's at the point, and he's cut out a lot of things in his life. Like he's saying, he's cut out all of his addictions to alcohol and everything. But what that means is he's piled all in on trading. And so he's got 6 screens up, and he's taking trades all times of the day. And he's said to me, I just need to focus. I've never written down what I'm going to do or anything. I just take all these trades. I get these ideas, and he's watching all the YouTubers, and you know what I mean? He's just gone all in. And so he's feeling really I interpreted it as being burnt out. That's how when I was listening to him, and I was worried that he was going to, because he didn't really know what his risk parameters were, and he's had wild swings, like 60% drawdowns and things like that. So, he was saying, what should I do? I've got this ADHD. I've identified it. I've also cut out everything else that's distracting me in my life. But the problem is, by cutting out everything else out of my life, I'm just all in on trading all the time. And it's like, he can't go on like this. He even told me, he said, just want to basically trade to the end of October and then cash out, So what would you say to someone like that who has that kind of they're on that path?
Yeah, that's an interesting one, right? Well, I mean, number one, something's obviously working for this guy. First, look at, okay, what's not necessary to get the same results or similar results, at least, right? Maybe watching the news might not be good, or watching the YouTubers, or maybe he's getting good ideas from YouTubers. I don't know. But, first look at what can you scale back and maybe have a little bit less performance, but much less maintenance. Second thought that came to mind was that maybe you're labeling yourself as ADHD when that's your superpower, and that's not something to be ashamed of, right? I think ADHD is largely a categorization of somebody who is a kinesthetic learner. So they want to be moving, they want to be learning, they want to be doing different things. And there could be a case of ADHD. I think it's probably due to something you're taking, some pills, or the food you're eating, or something like that, some external thing, if there is a neurosis there. But that's just my opinion, obviously. But I think that maybe take a look at that label that you're putting on yourself. Are you really ADHD, or are you someone who just tends to get caught up in a lot of different things, in which case that's a personality type, and it's not a disease per se, right? It's just a way that people process the world. And if you can take that into account and then try to cut back all the unnecessary things and put some things in place that will allow you to create a little bit of discipline. And maybe you don't need risk management. If this guy's doing so well, maybe whatever he's doing is, that's how it works for him. So maybe that's another label that you should look at. Obviously, risk management is a good thing for most people, but maybe, I'm willing to believe that certain people maybe don't need such a rigid structure, right? And I think that that's another thing that you could look at. And but I think that the primary thing, usually, at least for me, is try to cut back what's not necessary, right? And
yeah,
I think we'll find out that a lot of times we're doing a lot of things that are not necessary. The 80-20 rule, it's not contributing to the bottom line, but you do it out of habit, or do it because you think it helps or whatever. And look at that first. That'll be my thoughts. What do you think?
Yeah, it's really interesting, because the things you were saying about, maybe just let it ride. So for me, I was more interested in his motivation, how motivated was he to change? And I know I didn't tell you this. I mean, I have the advantage of having more information, right? Because I spoke to the guy, and you just have what I told you, right? So there's that, right? I mean, that's a big deal. I basically said I can't help you, but let's just say that he was motivated, right? Because I thought what was likely to happen was that he wouldn't do, because he wasn't motivated. I basically was interested in, is he motivated? And when I figured out that he wasn't motivated to change, he was just complaining, basically. I said, I can't help you. I said, I think you're going to blow up. And what I mean by blow up is I think you're going to have a drawdown that's so significant that you will, you will cease to trade or something, something bad will happen and it'll impact your trading path. And if he were motivated, let's just assume that he was motivated, he really wanted to change. Then what I would recommend is, first of all, we need to pull the data out of the way he's trading, because we need to know what are the parameters. Second of all, we need to run some stats like Monte Carlo and stuff and see, where is this headed? Okay. We know you've had a 60% drawdown. We know you've built up a small amount of money to a relatively large amount of money relatively quickly, and within like 18 months or whatever. And so but you've also had a 60% drawdown along the way. So I feel like you just need to be aware. If you pull your data out, you can be aware of what's likely to happen, right? Which I think he's going to blow up. And then the other thing was to become more structured about writing stuff down, have someone or something to be accountable for your actions, and then work on your subconscious and that impulse control. So that's what I would have done had he said, I really want to change this. But it was clear to me that he didn't say that. But if someone else who's in that situation who really wants to change, that's what I would probably do, is that you want to write it down, you want it structured, you want someone else to look at it so you have accountability, you want to reprogram your mind, your subconscious, so you can go to Hypnosis Downloads and get the impulse control download. Right? There's impulse control. I think there's also impulse control at Eldon Taylor's site, InnerTalk, InnerTalkStore.com. So you can look up InnerTalk subliminals. I think there's impulse control. They have that as well. So that sort of thing. And obviously, we would have to extract the elements of his systems to see the data, and then that's all math stuff, right? But those are the three things that I would say. But again, I think none of that matters if you're not motivated. So
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy.
And I think, I mean, if he did build an account from a small account to a pretty large account, I think what we talked about on the last podcast about just pulling some money out and then just starting fresh with a small account might be a good option for him if he doesn't want to change too, right? So a lot of different options, but that ability is definitely a good skill to have. You just have to fine tune it a little bit, like you say, right?
And there are some people that will argue, when presented with a case like that, there are some people that will argue that that's just a luck, right? That's all that is just luck, because he made most of his killing in basically one trade idea. Well, two, oil going down and oil going up, that. He basically just piled in oil going down and then piled in oil going up when he thought it bottomed out, and that was basically where he made all of his money. Right. And then, there are some academics that argue, well, there's always some people that are lucky, and those are the ones that we put up on a pedestal, and then everyone else is in the middle. And then there's some people that are really unlucky down here, that the normal curve sort of thing. So, there are some people that could argue that argue against the idea that you have, but you could also argue, no, he has a good strategy. He just needs to have a really volatile market where it goes down hard. Good news is we had a lot of that lately. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Thanks, Walter.
Thanks.
All information in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and is not trading or investment advice.